This is Eric Muathe with Muathe.com for July 7th, 2021, in what is definitely a historic day for market participants, especially those who trade the cryptos. We can see here that BTC recorded a move above 40,000 for the first time ever. And this behavior by Bitcoin and also by the general market, which we can see here, US markets essentially trading at all-time highs as we begin 2021. It feels to me like there's something brewing in the market. And what I'm saying is it looks like because of this recent hyperbolic moves by some markets and by some sectors, there is a good chance that we are going to see a very ugly market at some point this year, starting anytime from now. The reason is very simple, and the reasoning is hyperbolic moves by nature cannot sustain themselves for too long. And definitely this move by Bitcoin, and I remember Bitcoin was trading at 10,000 and below sometime in September, now above 40,000. That's in under 4 to 5 months. This is unsustainable. And because we've experienced a very sharp hyperbolic move, in my opinion, as I stated in a recent video, there is also the consideration of the other side of a hyperbolic move, which is a hyperbolic sell-off of huge proportions. I'll come back to this chart here in a little bit. For now, let's take a look at some stocks. And the first stock we're going to take a look at is PLUG, or plug. Here is another hyperbolic move over the last couple of weeks. This is a weekly chart. So it's taken this stock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 weeks to move from under 5 to the current highs of about 46. This is unsustainable. And by the way, this makes a case for why you should wait for breakouts. Buying the instrument when it is already seeing momentum right there is better than holding it throughout this dead period. By the way, I have been all over this stock for paid clients with many alerts in 2020. As you can see, all these alerts in September and in August, and also going back to April of 2020. It's not like this stock took off without our notice and participation. All right. And of course, the most recent breakouts were here in September. So you can see from this chart, we were able to capture all of these breakouts going back to July, April of this year. We captured that breakout, and also we also captured this breakout. It was all there for the taking. Now, of course, I did not see 40s in 5 weeks. Did not see 40s. Of course, I saw an expansion in prices, but not this high, this quick. So even here too, this market is concealing a hyperbolic move or a massive plunge to the downside after this expansive hyperbolic move. Let's take a look at another name. Let's take a look at SOL, again in the same space, which is a solar space. And here is yet another hyperbolic move, telling us that the nature of this market has become extreme. These types of behavior tend to happen towards the end of a major run in the general market. And again, this is one of the stocks that we were all over this stock last year, 2020, and many alerts for the same stock. Most recent one coming in the middle of December 2020. And even the move over the last 2 weeks or so has been extremely powerful. because if you take a look at the weekly, the December breakout was just around the 750 area, which we were able to take advantage of right there. And the stock over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so, has gone from 7.5 to the current highs of 23. This is not sustainable, in my opinion. And it shows that the investment landscape is not being disciplined at this moment. And if you go back, we can see that there was also another breakout, or another good breakout in November, which we also took advantage of. Multiple breakouts for the same stock in November. Let's take a look at the weekly chart, and we can see on the weekly chart, this is the breakout that we were also able to capture. So that's why, again, it makes a lot of sense to play breakouts. You capture them with momentum, and you avail yourself to the possibility of a massive run. It doesn't always lead to massive runs, but this is how you become part of an explosive hyperbolic move, is by timing momentum quality breakouts. Let's take a look at another name, MARA. And by the way, I'm not going to spend time in this video discussing this, but I should mention this. It is very important for us to understand that all of these stocks, all of the instruments mentioned here, met the minimum requirements of the ultimate Muathe breakout, just as they were beginning to move. All of them did. But that's a subject for another day. Links for this method are gonna be in the description of this video. But here you can see another stock. Believe it or not, our breakout entry was here. Right there. Now this is November, when the stock was trading, let's call it around 250 or so. Now gone as high as 24 plus. In my opinion, this is unsustainable and tells me to start being on the lookout for a major market correction, because there's a lot of quote unquote irrational exuberance. In the past, whenever we've seen stocks do this, it generally tends to line up with a market that is gonna eventually see a massive correction, if not a massive bear market. So we, in my opinion, have to be very vigilant around here. And the only thing that could change my opinion is if this stock settle for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then break out. If they can settle down for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then break out after some rest, then all is well. We can still play future breakouts. But for now, they seem extended. They need to settle down, potentially break out at some point. But around here, a little bit of cold feet. Now again, we can see that we were all over this stock as of October, November, before the recent explosive move. In fact, if we take a look at the price breakout for the most recent breakout alert, that was on November 17th. The stock was at 298, having just moved above 295 was the buy point. So 295 is a breakout level. The stock was trading just under $3, November 17th. And of course, an email was mailed out to paid clients. So let's take a look at that chart and that timing. So you can see that our breakout was based on this close right there. And in terms of timing, this was picture perfect. Perfect. We're talking about the possibility of owning a stock at under 3 in middle of November and be able to sell it in the 20s by early January. That's amazing. So again, what we need is some settling in price here, some sideways action for a couple weeks, couple months, and eventually a breakout, a fresh breakout would invite us to play the new breakout. But for now, this hyperbolic move is looking dangerously ready for a massive plunge from current levels. And of course, you'd always want to take profits along the way. Now, here are some crypto-related names. Look at how this instrument has moved. Did not send an alert for this one. And again, we can't own all of them. But this was a classic. Go back and check, see whether the charts meet the minimum requirements. The entry was right there. Stock was at $4. That was the ideal entry. That was in November, now trading in the 20s. You see a recurring theme. Let's take a look at another crypto-related name, GBTC. Again, this one, the ideal breakout was here. Again, in November, stock was trading under 15, now gone as high as, let's call it 48. All of these are hyperbolic moves that are going to have to correct at some point. Now, as I mentioned recently, we were lucky enough to time this one. In fact, just over the last 2 weeks, our entry was right here. Perfect entry, perfect timing. So towards late December, the stock was trading, let's call it around 650. And in under 2 weeks, it's gone as high as 33. This is unsustainable. The only thing that would change here is in terms of a timing for a new breakout would be a close, a monthly close somewhere, settling down for a couple of weeks, and then a future breakout would entice us to play the new momentum breakout. But for now, this is not where you want to be chasing. You want to be taking aggressive profits, in my opinion. To be clear, we can see here that this instrument was mentioned twice, in middle of November as a future breakout, and then during the late December breakout that I'm just talking about. Again, email sent out to paid clients, and that recent breakout captured this move right here. Beautiful move. If you told me that this stock was going to be trading in the 30s within a week or so, I would not have believed you, but here we are. So it brings us back to BTC, and in my opinion, Bitcoin also, as I mentioned earlier, this is such a powerful move. At some point, it's going to change its mood. It's going to spook traders, and they're going to be looking for the exit, and we're going to see a massive, massive plunge. It's going to happen. It is going to happen at some point. And I believe what Bitcoin is doing is essentially capturing the bullish nature of the general market. This is the S&P 500. And there's a scenario that I've discussed recently that even the S&P 500 and general markets might be looking for a massive plunge sometime this year. Massive. Underline massive plunge. And again, the only thing that would change my personal opinion is a market that goes sideways for a while, digests the gains for many months, many weeks, and then breaks out. That would be a market that would have fresh legs, fresh possibility, fresh momentum. But for now, be on the lookout, because the market, some sectors of the market, as I've just discussed in this video, are behaving very irrationally. If you take a look at the 4 hourly for the S&P 500, currently, we've seen markets make new highs, but there seems to be some type of resistance here on the 4 hourly. And as I mentioned in that video, which was yesterday, RSI 61.8 on the 4 hourly seems to be an issue. Could this be where the market finally stalls? We shall see. And by the way, remember, we never want to run into conclusions, and we never want to be shorting the market until we see, for example, a decisive break below recent RSI lows line. So it's going to take some energy and some time for these markets to come to this level. It would mean that if the market is going to plunge, of course, it's going to do that. We're going to see it. It's not going to happen while we're asleep, because it's going to need some visual evidence. And right now, we haven't seen that visual evidence. Visual evidence comes later down the road by violating some key levels. In other words, it would need first and foremost for the S&P 500 to break below an upward sloping 50-day moving average. This is required for there to be a massive plunge, just like it had to break below the 50-day moving average here in February before we saw this aggressive market meltdown. So right now, all systems are good. Markets are trading at all-time highs. But let's not fall asleep, because we can see that some areas of the market have turned irrational. If you don't take profits, when you see a hyperbolic move, the market at some point is going to tell you, you should have when you had the profits in your hands. Eric Muathe, quick look at where BTC is trading. The high for the day, all-time high for now, above 40,000. And your general markets, essentially all markets as of right now, trading at all-time highs. And so it is. E, a C, S. Love light, light love. Namaste.